Oh, here they are. All right. Welcome to the show, Laura. Thank you so much for coming on the Momentum podcast.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, let's start with your story. I want to talk about how you went from being a college professor to becoming a virtual assistant. What sparked the shift? And then how did it change your life?
Yeah, it's a pretty wild switch when you think about it. I went to school for years and years to get a master's degree and then became a professor, but then I had a baby. And having a baby kind of shifts everything, right?
Mm.
We had struggled with infertility, so it took us a little over 2 years to get pregnant, and we actually had stopped trying. And then we were one of those couples that stopped trying, and we actually moved across the country. So we were like, let's just focus on like settling in. And then one day I was in class and I was like, it's something's off here, and went home and took a pregnancy test on a random Tuesday, and there she was, a little nugget growing. And once she was born, just a lot of perspectives shifted, which I think does happen for a lot of moms. I
Mhm.
always thought I would work. I never really had that desire to be a stay-at-home mom, because I just get a lot of fulfillment out of my work as well. But I was home. I taught online the semester she was born, and then I had to go back on campus when she was 5 months old. And I just very, very quickly realized like I don't want to have to leave her just
Oh,
because I have a class or office hours, like she was always in good hands. She was with her dad or her grandma, but we were exclusively nursing. She had a hard time with bottles. And I hated having to go just because my work said, like, hey, you have to be here. Uh,
mhm.
but we were not in a place for me to be a stay-at-home mom financially. There was zero point 0.0 chance that I could just forego an income and stay home with her. So I started looking for more flexible options. And my older sister actually had gotten into the online business space. So she had learned about virtual assistants, and she was like, Laura, this would be such a good fit for your personality. And I was 33 and I'd never heard of a VA, so I was like, what even is that? Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? I don't even know what that means. So she explained it all to me, and at the time, this was 2020, there weren't a lot of like work from home options, right? Like it was kind of either do an MLM or have a traditional job. Um, and so I was like, you know what? I'll try. I'll give it a go. It's not going to hurt anything, right?
Yeah.
And I signed two part-time clients in the first month, and just really started slow because I was still teaching full-time and was in, the throes of newborn land still.
Yeah. Oh, crazy.
Um, yeah, crazy, crazy. My daughter's now asking for a baby, and I'm like, I don't think you understand what that would actually look like, little girl. Um, I try to explain it. She's like, no, it'd be fine. And I'm like, you don't understand. But it still was just kind of like a side thing, a supplemental thing until 5 months in. I signed a contract with a new client that was $4,000 per month,
Oh my
which
God.
matched my college professor salary with one client. And
How
that
did
was when I was like, what? And I just found them on Instagram. It was just someone I've been following who I was like, ooh, they'd be fun to work for. They shared on their stories they were looking for a VA. I messaged, I put my
okay.
name in the hat, we chatted, and we signed a contract for $4,000 a month to do just a ton of admin stuff for his business. Um,
Oh my God.
but I had been making 46 a year as a college professor for the last 5 years, like 4 years at that point. And this one client was $48,000 a year. And I was like, okay, maybe this is like actually the solution. Maybe it's not just a side hustle.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's amazing.
it was incredible. I couldn't really believe it, to be honest. And so I kept
Yeah.
teaching for a couple more semesters, partly
Okay.
because I'm a very like right-brained logical thinker. And I was like, this has to be too good to be true. Like, what if this falls
Right.
apart? Um,
Yeah.
but also because we had some big financial goals at the time, we were trying to purchase a home. And so I was like, I'm just gonna hustle and grind and like get through this. But yeah, I did end up leaving teaching after two more semesters. I have never gone back. VA work has been my full-time income, making six figures. a year.
Mhm.
Excuse me. I actually was able to double that teaching salary within a year and a half and then triple it within 2.5 years. So
Girl. Oh
wild.
my,
It's like still when I say
I'm
it, I'm
so
like,
happy for you.
how did that happen? I was so stuck in a place. I don't know if any of y'all have felt this way, where like I felt like I did everything right. I went to school, I
Mhm.
got the degree, I used the degree in a field where like it was required, and I still felt like I was just grinding, but I was very stuck. Like the thought of even
Yeah.
making $50,000 a year felt crazy. I was like, I had accepted kind of, right? Like this is just kind of what it is. This is what I'll be doing. I'll never make as much as my husband, yada yada, right? And then two and a
Yeah.
half years later, I made like 30,000 more than him, almost hit 150K. But the best part, like, yes, the money is great, but I got to do that while being home with my baby, you know? I was home with
Yes, that
her.
is the dream. That is the
It's the
dream.
dream. Literally, I tell people because I'm like, I hate the saying, right? Like, it's life changing. Like, I feel like women hear that all the time about
Yeah,
online opportunities.
but
But
it
at the
really
same
is.
time, I'm like, but what, like, if there's a different, better definition of life changing, let me know because
Right. Yeah.
my whole family's lives look completely different. She didn't go anywhere until she turned 3 and started 3K. So I got to be home with her for the milestones, but also just the daily routines, right? Every nap time, every bedtime, every meal. Um, and it's still very surreal looking back at the fact that I got to have all of that time with her when she was so little while
Yeah.
supporting my family, right? Like kind of having your cake and eating it too, which is why I'm so passionate about teaching other moms because so many moms don't even know, just like I didn't know 5 years ago that it was an option. Um, it is an option and it's a great option. And yeah, our lives look very, very, very different now than they did 5 years ago. So
Yeah. Can you paint a picture of what your life looks like now compared to
yeah.
then?
Yeah. So, I mean, at the time, right, working a traditional job, it was very, number one, I was very overworked. I was having to carry a double course load, which meant I was teaching like 7 classes per semester just to even hit that 46K, which meant just kind of working nonstop, even as a teacher,
Mhm.
right? You don't only work when you're in the classroom, it's grading,
Right.
it's lesson plans, it's office hours and meetings. Um, and we were honestly living paycheck to paycheck. My husband and I both have master's degrees. We both had good jobs, right? As what
Mhm.
society would deem. And we were in our early 30s and we had tons of student loans. We had tons of credit
Mhm.
card debt from our 20s, right? Where we hadn't
Yep.
known how to responsibly handle things. Um, and we were living paycheck to paycheck. I waited tables at a Texas Roadhouse until I was 7 months pregnant,
Oh my
just so
gosh.
that we could get
And
the
you
credit.
taught.
And that,
Yeah.
yeah, I was
Oh,
teaching full time, but that was like the financial situation we were in. We could barely keep $1,000 in an emergency fund, and we were in that place. I bet a lot of people will be like, "Oh, same here" at some
yeah.
point in life, right? Where we would put $300 in savings and we were so excited about it, but before the end of the month, at least 200 of that had to come back in to sit to your checking to cover something, right? Like
Yeah.
we never felt like we were getting ahead by any stretch
Yeah.
of the imagination. And so then we had my daughter, I started VA stuff, but we were still very much paycheck to paycheck at that point. And we really wanted to build a home now that we'd always been like, oh, we're fine renting. But once we had a baby, we were like, we want her to have a home, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so at 10 months old, we actually moved in, or yeah, when she was 10 months old, we moved into my mom's basement, which we were very lucky to have that opportunity to save on
Course.
a rent payment. But we moved my husband, our 10-month-old, and our 80-pound bulldog into my
Oh
mom's
my God.
half finished basement. We had one side was our living room, one side was our bedroom, and then our daughter got the second finished, like actual bedroom upstairs. Um, but we moved into that house saying, okay, we're okay if we have to be here for up to 2 years because we had nothing saved for a down payment. We couldn't even do
Oh,
$1,000 in an emergency fund, you know? Excuse me. The Arizona allergies are
are they
getting the best
bad?
of me. They're so bad. as a Midwest kid, all the new plants, I'm like, I can't breathe out here in the desert. Um, but yeah, so we committed that we would be okay. We mentally prepared ourselves for 2 years, but that was right when my VA income was starting to take off. And when I had signed that $4,000 a month client, and then I signed another client a couple months later. And we moved in August, and we ended up signing a contract on a new build house on Christmas Eve. And then we closed
Wow.
in April, and all of the down payment came from my VA income.
That's
100%. Like we
amazing.
lived off of my husband's
Oh,
income, and then my income went toward saving for the house. So yet again, when I say it changed our lives, right? We went from living in my mom's basement to building a 2,500 square foot home with a backyard for our dog and our baby. And it was just incredible to get to move our little family in there. So that's one big way it looks different, right? Is just like our physical surroundings looks very different than what we could have ever afforded before, but more so it's just the time freedom. That's like the
yeah.
biggest, the time freedom, the flexibility.
The
Uh,
flexibility. Yeah.
Flexibility is by far, like, yes, obviously this is work, it's a job, women do it to make money, but it's not just about the money, it's about how you can actually earn the money, right? Like
Mhm.
you have control of when you work. We've been able to travel so much more. I just actually booked flights last night for my daughter and I. Well, my husband and my daughter and I are taking a 10-day trip next month to celebrate our 10-year wedding anniversary.
Oh,
And I'm
congratulations.
so excited. She's old enough now that like she thinks hearing about like our wedding and all of those things is like so
Oh,
fun. So we're taking her back to where we lived all of our 20s, where we dated, got engaged, so
and
that
where
she
is that?
North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we're
Beautiful.
really excited about that. But we booked that flight, and then I literally went to a different website and booked a flight for my daughter and I to go back to the Midwest to visit family for 2 weeks in July. And then I booked another flight for her and I to go to Colorado for a week and a half in August to visit my mom and my sister. And it's like, we would never have the time. I could never do that with a traditional job, right?
No, no, because you'd have to get the time off, find somebody to cover. Yeah.
Exactly. So I just take my computer and my phone with me, and my family
Yeah.
knows
You
like
can do
I'll
it
have
from
to do some
anywhere.
work while I'm there, but
Yeah.
I'm there, right? And they get to spend
Yeah.
time with her. So that's an incredible perk. But even just in the day to day, my daughter woke up sick 2 days ago, and I didn't have to call in. I didn't have
Right.
to use PTO or take one of my vacation days to cover her or my sick days or reschedule a bunch of meetings. I used to always feel really guilty when I had to like call out from work. Like I always felt like I was inconveniencing people. There's
Yeah.
that. There is none of that. I literally woke up, realized she was sick, messaged her school, said she's not coming today, snuggled her in bed for the next 2 hours. And then while she was taking a nap, I sat in the chair in the room and did some work on my computer. Like you just
Amazing.
get, I always say you get to live your life first. Like you actually get to live
Yes.
first and then
Yeah.
fit your work in around your life instead of that feeling of like, I'm just living to work. Like I'm just living to
Right.
work because I have to make money. It's the opposite when in this scenario. And so I truly get to prioritize things that are important to me and to my family and our schedule, and then work around that while still bringing in an amazing income to support financially. So it's wild.
That that is the ideal. And I am hearing, are you hearing this? Sorry if I like look distracted. The reason why is because I'm hearing like this banging and movement, and I don't know where. Oh, you know what I bet it is? I just figured it out. We got it. Sorry, I'm gonna have to like edit this out. But I like couldn't like I kept hearing this and I'm thinking because we had issues with a mouse like back in the fall, but turns out it wasn't a mouse, it was a vole. Have you ever heard of a voles before? They look like
No.
mice, but it was like this whole thing, like I had to like hire an exterminator and all this. So I was like thinking, oh my God, do we have another freaking mouse?
Oh
But you know what?
no.
I just remembered we got a letter from NIPSCO, our electric company or gas company, rather. Anyway, they sent a letter out that they were coming to like do something, like change
Oh,
something else, right?
oh,
Sometime around May 8th, and it's May 8th.
there you
So
go.
that's
They were on
probably
time
what
for
I'm
once.
hearing. I was freaking, I'm like trying to like listen, and then at the same
Right?
time, I'm like
You're
freaking out,
like,
like, is
please no, please no.
it yes.
I do not blame
Okay.
you.
Oh my God. Deep breath. Sorry. Back to you though. Yeah, like seriously, like that is the ideal. Like it just seems like too good to be true. But I want to learn. Like I think that yeah, this is like the perfect
Yeah.
opportunity for a mom.
Hmm.
Really anyone, to be honest, but especially a mom, because like we're in a unique position where this time, like, when especially when our kids are, like, young,
Yeah.
when they really do need us, and there really does need to be I mean, I say need, and I don't wanna, like, make anybody feel guilty because I do understand, like, this day and age, like, yes, like, families need 2 incomes, but, like, well, here's the answer. Like,
Mhm.
you want, like, the flexibility to be there when your kids get sick and not to miss, like, the milestones, but at the
Right.
same time, we wanna be contributing, like, financially and feel like we have something outside of, like, motherhood. I don't know.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it is. You have kind of your own. It's not necessarily in some ways it's a creative outlet depending on what you do with clients,
yeah.
but just having something that I always say like I get to use my brain in a way that's not
Yeah.
brain, you know, like
Yes.
that
Uh-huh.
actually uses
Like
different muscles in my
yeah.
and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I am smart." Like, "Oh yeah, I can do this. I can't just make doctor's appointments and pack lunches. Like I can actually help a woman run her business successfully." That's really cool.
Right, and, like, being challenged and, like, having to, like, figure things out and
Yeah, and learning
yeah.
new stuff and growing
Yeah.
and getting outside of your comfort zone because you definitely
Yes.
get outside of your comfort zone, but it's well worth it. So,
I bet. So for those we're talking about, like, virtual assistants, but for those who have no clue, what exactly does a virtual assistant do? Like, can you give us real
yeah.
life examples of some tasks?
Yeah, so a virtual
Mm.
assistant is in the US, you're an independent contractor. So when
Okay,
it comes to like taxes, you file as a 1099 or self-employed,
okay.
which is not as intimidating as it sounds. I know a lot of women who stop and they're like, nope, don't want to be a 1099 just because they've never done it and it feels unfamiliar. We're so used to being someone's employee, right? Uh,
Yeah,
but it's actually really very simple. Um, but you are working with small business owners. So that's who you're assisting as a virtual assistant, are small business owners. A lot of times they're online business owners, just because that market is massive and because you can work with someone who lives anywhere. They could live near you, they could live in a different state, country, continent. It doesn't matter. You're working virtually. Um, you can also work with local businesses too, right? That just limits your scope. But you're typically, what you're doing is you're helping them with kind of the back end of their business, like the behind the scenes of their business. Because as a small business owner, there's so much that goes into running that business. There's emails, there's admin, there's paperwork, there's contracts, there's numbers and data to keep up with in terms of opt-ins and sales and refunds and even things like helping with their social media, like responding
yeah.
to things in the DMs or responding to comments or setting up many chat automations. And there's so many things. But the important, like, kind of overarching picture is that virtual assistants are there so that small business owners can delegate and outsource the things that just kind of take up their time that have to be done in the business, but they don't have to be done by the business owner, right?
Mhm.
Emails have to be responded to. It doesn't have to be the business owner. And so when they can get those things off of their plate, it frees them up to go do the things that do have to be done by them, the forward
Mhm.
facing, the relationship building, the showing up on social media, running master classes, showing up on podcasts, or if they have their own podcast. Those are things the business owner has to do on their own, but they don't have time to also do all of those behind the scenes things, right? That have to be done to run their business efficiently. So, very common tasks. There's actually a really wide range of things you can do as a VA, which is also what makes it really cool because it will fit pretty much every woman's experience and their interests, regardless of what those are. But a really common entry point into the industry is to do like general admin and customer service. So answering their email inquiries, right? Questions that come in from people who either have purchased for them or want to purchase from them, helping them to onboard their customers who do purchase, getting them all set up with everything that they need. If there's someone who does like coaching and they have contracts in place, being able to edit those contracts and send them out and make sure they get signed. Managing your client's calendar to make sure that their appointments and stuff stay within the parameters of the schedule that they're looking for. Um, there's so many different things, but those general admin are a really good way to step foot into the industry if you're new. And then as you are in it, you learn so much by doing as a VA. It's wild. The services I offer now, 5 years in, are things I didn't even know existed like 3 years ago. And then clients showed me and taught me. And then now they're what I actually like. Now I build out launch mechanisms for course creators, doing all of the back end, the funnels and the automations and the
Mm,
email tags and the email sequences and all of that stuff that literally 3 years ago I'd have been like, what are you talking about? What the hell is an
yeah,
email sequence? What's a funnel, you know? But
yeah,
you learn so much just by actively doing and being and working with clients. And so even if you start kind of broadly and generally with admin stuff, because pretty much every woman has like the innate ability to do those things, right? We're
yeah,
multitaskers by nature. We can do email inbox management. Um, then learning those things as you go, and then you can get kind of more specific and really hone in on the things that you enjoy, whether that's, creating newsletters or graphics in Canva for somebody, or helping them to repurpose their podcast into blogs or into other pieces of content. Like there's a ridiculous amount of things. I couldn't even ever list them because
right, yeah, I'm
podcasts would go
sure.
all
It
day
just
and
goes
people would be
on.
bored. They'd be bored to tears, right? But
Yeah, I bet, but the main theme to me, like, what I'm hearing is you don't have to know everything. Like,
oh no, 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 no.
like,
Mm-mm.
don't be intimidated, like, you
No.
can just if this interests you, like, you can just start and, like, learn as you go.
Yes, 100%. And that is something that stops a lot of women. I've been
Yeah,
coaching women for the last like 2.5 years now. I've been a VA for 5 and I've been coaching for 2.5. It was a fun way for me to kind of get back into like that teaching side of my
yeah,
brain, right? But not dealing with
yeah,
college students, getting to
yeah,
getting to help moms instead. And I can't tell you the number of conversations I have with women who are like, I just don't know what I would do, or I don't have the experience, or
yeah.
no, it's just
They just
not
don't have the
it.
confidence,
Right. There's no
right? Yeah,
that's the root of it, right? Is the lack
and
of
doubt.
confidence.
Mhm.
Because it's something new, it's
Yes,
uncomfortable, and
yes.
our ego tries to immediately protect us and say, talk us
Mhm.
out of it before we even try so that we can't fail, right? Uh,
Yes. So then we fail ahead of time by not even trying at
Oh,
all.
we fail ourselves. We flunk
Yeah,
ourselves. I tell the
yeah,
women I coach all the time to let people reject you. Like,
yeah,
let people reject you. Make it a goal this year to maybe get rejected more than ever, which sounds really backward, but it means that they're at least putting themselves out there and having
yeah,
conversations and trying, right? Because if they're if I pitch to you and you're like, no, Laura, I'm all set. Okay, at least I gave you the chance to say yes, right? Instead of
mhm,
me just talking myself out of it
right,
before even giving you a chance, right? Uh,
right. Plus
it,
being proud of yourself for doing that, like, you're really, like, working your confidence muscle,
oh
like,
yeah.
you don't like, that's how confidence comes, although it is very scary to do.
Oh, it is. It really is. And that's and you get more confident though, and it gets easier the more that you do it, right?
I'm
Like
sure, yeah,
everything feels awkward the first time, but that's
yeah,
also something I know I'm getting a little off track here, but it makes sense. A
yeah,
lot of what I tell women too is because women also tell me in terms of like the confidence and the feeling awkward about reaching out. They're like, I don't want to sell myself. I don't want to be
yeah, yeah,
salesy. And when I
yeah,
tell you I will never in a million years tell you to go sell yourself or cold pitch yourself to anyone. I couldn't keep a job at the Gap when I was younger because I couldn't sell the freaking credit card at checkout. Like, I can't. I can't
Sorry,
sell. I'm
that's
not going to tell
yeah,
you to go sell yourself.
neither could
I tell
I.
women who I
That's
coach to focus on connection. That's what it is. That's how you find, because you want to work with clients and businesses that you feel really aligned with, that
yeah.
you like them as a human, right? You enjoy
Mhm.
them as a human. You believe in them. You believe in their business. You believe in who their business is helping and it's impacting, because that, when you find that kind of working relationship, number one, your work's going to be a way more fulfilling and
Yes.
fun. And that's a perk of this way to earn income, right? Is like it gets to be fun. You get to
Yeah.
support businesses that you're really proud of and that you're happy to put your time and energy into. Um, but it's also how you create more stable income as a VA, because you are a freelancer, you are an independent contractor. But when you find and you take time to just connect with these clients that you want to work with and actually find businesses you're aligned with, then those are the businesses that you'll work with longer term and that you'll actually
Mhm.
grow with, and your responsibilities will grow with them, and your rate will grow with them as their business grows. And now, instead of signing a client you're working with for a month and then trying to find another client to work with for a month, you're signing 3 or 6 or 12 month contracts. Or it's also really common to just get into like rolling contracts where it's like, okay, we're working together until one of us decides that we're not,
That we're
right?
done? Okay,
But
cool.
that's how you build a more stable income. I had one client I was with for a year and a half. I had another client I was with for 3 years. And the only reason we stopped working together was because she went through a really expensive divorce and it affected
Sure.
her personal finances. I have a VA who works for me in my coaching business. She's been with me for 2.5 years, and there's no end in sight, right? And so you
Yeah.
really can create stability if, when you're starting, you focus on connecting with these potential clients and really getting to know them on a human level before you ever even talk about how you can help them. So that mindset shift has helped so many women I coach, because then they feel just way more comfortable starting conversations because they don't feel like they're going to walk in and just pitch,
Yeah.
really focused on it, on building a connection.
So I this is kinda off the like, all of the questions that I had prepared ahead of time, but, like, what this just came to me, like, I'm just thinking what like, about the person who's listening and what may be going through their mind. What does connecting look like?
Like you would if you
Mhm.
saw someone and you're like, ooh, I want to be friends with them. Like the same type of conversation, right? And genuinely interacting. Typically, it's going to be starting on social media because that's the easiest place to start having conversations. Um, so when it's, because what I also teach women is to start first, and instead of just saying like, I'll work with anyone, I just want a
Mhm.
client, right? I just want to make
Yeah.
money. Like, no, we're actually going to figure out who your dream client is, because again, you get to be a little bit
Mhm.
picky here. Um, and you're actually going to have a easier time finding and signing clients if you're not looking for just anyone, because the internet is huge and
Yeah.
intimidating and overwhelming. And so
Yes.
if you don't have like a plan of who you're trying to interact with, it's going to take you actually a lot longer than if you kind of narrow your scope down. Um, so then the people that you're interacting with are going to be people who you naturally are just interested in, right?
Mhm.
Because they're your dream client, they're your ideal person. So that connection is literally just responding to their stories, that they post on Instagram, and with a genuine reaction or a follow-up question or something else that interests you about them. If they have a podcast, going and listening to it, and then again, it's always just from a place of authenticity, of then coming back, and I DM you and I'm like, oh my gosh, Tanya, I just listened to episode such and such. This part of it like really struck me. It's so cool. I love your podcast. Thank you so much for sharing. Right. And then those
Mhm.
conversations start. It's filtering in some questions for them here and there, because when you're interacting with people on social, right? If there's never questions, it can be easy for them to just heart the message and then
Right. Yeah.
not respond, and then it kind of the conversation runs dry. But yeah, I tell women to just approach it not like it's ultimately someone that they're going to talk about working with or pitching, but literally it's like if you wanted to make friends with this person, what would you talk about with them? What would you bring
Yeah.
up? What would you bring into the conversation? Because the other aspect of being a virtual assistant and being a freelancer is that it's not just a client picking you and saying, "Yep, I want to hire you." It's you also saying, "Yes, you're aligned with the type of client I want to work with." So a lot of times, if you see someone on social and you see their business and you love what their business is, I still want you to go have actual conversation with them first to make sure that y'all like vibe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it sounds kind of
Mhm.
cheesy,
Right.
but there's a lot of times I've experienced it tons of times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to work with this woman. And then I start chatting with her in the DMs and something will rub me the wrong way. Where
Yeah.
I'm just like, like our conversation's different than what you present, on
Yeah.
social. And so
Mhm.
then I'm like, thank God I didn't pitch her or
Yeah.
ask her to get on a discovery call. So it's like, it's also that connection time is also really important because then before you pitch to them, you feel confident that there's someone you'd really want to work with.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So tell me, who is this kind of work ideal for? Like, obviously, like we have kind of already said, like moms.
Hmm.
And then on the flip side, who might not enjoy or thrive in this type of role?
Yeah. I always say that this work is so good for women who love to be kind of behind the scenes, who don't want to have to be super forward facing. Right now, obviously, there's big like digital marketing. Network marketing is still a big thing. And a lot of the women I coach are like, I don't ever want to do that. Not as like a shame thing to those, but because they don't want to have to be on social media
Yeah.
and posting stories and, doing all the things. So if you're a personality who likes to just be able to kind of be the one behind the scenes, I like to say like you are the one who likes to just get shit done. Like
Yeah.
you like to write a to-do list, you're a planner, you're someone who's very organized and detail oriented, and you literally get like that giddy excited feeling, and you're like, oh, I got a new planner. Let me write
Yeah.
everything out. And then when you cross, you're like, yep, done, done,
Yeah.
done.
Feels
It's
so
like the
good.
best feeling to see it crossed out. That kind of personality really thrives as a VA because you are that like right hand behind the scenes. And also someone who's open to learning and is a quick learn. You do not have to be tech savvy. I am not. It took me 5 days to get my friggin' Wi-Fi printer to actually print anything, right? Like,
But I do the same thing. I love that you said that you don't have to be tech savvy because when
no,
I see virtual, I think tech
yes.
savvy, you know?
No. If you have basic computer proficiencies, if you can Google something, if you can type, if you can open an email inbox and like attach a link in an email or attach a document to it or put an email in a folder or add an item to a digital calendar like Google Calendar, if you can do those basic things and you're capable of learning when somebody shows you the next steps, you will be fine because clients don't, I think this is another kind of myth or like misconception. Women often think they have to know everything before they
Yeah.
can start.
Yes.
And that couldn't
Mhm.
be farther from the truth because clients are going to train you. They're going to teach you and show you their systems, their softwares, their procedures, just like if you were hired into like a traditional job, right? They're never going to hire you in and then just say, here's your desk, go do it, right? Like
Yeah.
going to show you how their business operates. And if anything, it's almost more so with a small business because you're working with someone who that business is their baby, right?
Yeah.
Like it's their lifeline, it's their livelihood. And that's not to say that they're going to micromanage you or be breathing down your neck all the time because their goal, a client's goal, is to hire a VA, bring them in, train them, and then let them do their thing. And like,
Yeah.
and truly get that item off their plate, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but they're always going to train you and teach you. It's very common that when you onboard with a new client, that you'll hop on a Zoom together, they'll screen share and record it and show you
Okay.
like step by step. Like, let's say they want you managing their CRM system, which is like where everyone's emails are hosted and held. And they'll walk you in and say, look, here's the tags. This is how I do it. They'll show you the process. And then typically, they'll then have you do it the next couple of times with them checking your work, right?
Okay.
Saying, okay, this was right, or hey, you missed this piece here. So that after a couple of times of them checking you, you're good and you can do it on your own. And then if you have questions, you can always ask. It's just number one, they'll always teach you and train you. What I tell the women I coach is that you don't have to know it all, but you need to be able to learn quickly because they're happy to train you once
Yeah.
and like follow up. They don't want to train you on the same thing 5 times,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Because it's
because
their
then they're
time.
wasting
They're
their time.
paying
Right.
for their time. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But if you are teachable, if you're a quick study, if you're a quick learn, right? Again, I now know all these computer programs and softwares that I had never heard of a couple years ago. And that's when they're passing off things to you that they already do in their business. It also is really common that clients will pay you to learn new things to implement in their business. I have had clients do that multiple times. A ton of the women I coach have had clients do that where they really, let's say they want to start using Pinterest. They're like, I'm not utilizing that. It's a great search engine. I really want to start posting pins, but I, as the client, don't have the time or the bandwidth to do it. I
Hmm.
had a client a couple years ago who went and bought a $3,000 Pinterest course, gave me the login to it, paid me for my time to go through the program so that I could then do Pinterest for that client.
Awesome. So they paid for the course, then paid you on top of that, like
Yes.
per hour or something to take the
Yeah,
course? And
depending on
then
the
now you
structure that
have
y'all have. Yeah.
okay.
So then I was able to then do it for them, right? Which they're then paying me to do what I
Yeah.
learned that they paid me to learn. But also now I have this amazing
You
skill set that's
yeah.
super valuable that goes on my resume for future
Mhm.
clients that I sign.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do not have to be really tech savvy. Literally, I say if you can, I feel like in 2025, most people have the computer skills needed,
Yeah.
right? Like you just need basic computer skills. And all you need is your computer and a smartphone. Like that's it. You don't need extra monitors. You don't need headsets. Like you're never on the phone as a VA, which is a really cool perk as well. Um, but yeah, you don't need, and women, we love to self-sabotage and talk ourselves out of things
Yeah.
and make up a million reasons why we're not qualified for it, when in
Yeah.
reality, the barrier to entry as a VA is so low. Like, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's a huge
No.
positive.
Yeah.
It's so low. You don't need a lot of tech. There's really no overhead. You don't have to make an LLC. You don't have to spend money on that. If you have your computer and your smartphone already existing, you need that and like some gumption and a work ethic. Like that's truly it. There's no certificates to ascertain, there's no degree that you need. You can just start.
Wow.
You just have to decide that you want to start making moves.
That's awesome. I feel and then you literally just answered what my next question was gonna be in all that. Um, but what kind of income
Mhm.
can a VA expect to make? And then what factors influence how much you earn?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So starting out in the US, the like industry standard starting rate is between 20 and $30 per hour. So I always
Wow.
say 25, right? Yeah, that's a
It
good
is I
number.
mean, that's I started out as a nurse saving lives for
Yep.
$25 an hour, and it was
Yep.
literally life or death, like,
Hmm.
type of situations.
I
That
mean,
is
EMTs
amazing.
get paid like 18 an hour.
Who
Like
does?
EMTs,
EMTs? Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
there's like sub 20 an hour in most states.
Oh,
The national minimum wage, like average starting rate, I think is like 17 and some change at the moment. So yeah,
wow.
you're already starting ahead. And that's just the starting rate. So really it pretty much I've never had a woman start below 20. an hour. And typically, even when I've had women I coach who do start at 20 an hour, they could have easily done 25. They just were like, oh, for my first person, like I'm nervous. The imposter
Yeah.
syndrome of like, will
Yes.
people actually pay me for this kicked in? So
Yep.
they started at 20 for their first client. And then by the second one, they were like, okay, I'm gonna do 25. Like now I feel okay about this. But yeah, that's the industry standard starting rate. And that's just when you're doing those general admin things, answering their emails, helping with their calendar, making really basic graphics in Canva, or moderating their Facebook group for their community. Stuff like that is a $25 an hour rate. Um, VAs
Working from home. That
working from
on
home,
your
the
own
pockets of
schedule.
your day while your kid has tablet time or takes a nap or plays with daddy or grandma,
Yeah.
or after they're, I'm a night owl, so I do a lot of my work from like 9 to midnight because
Mhm.
that's just when my brain functions well. But like you can do it anytime. You can work literally anytime. Clients don't care when you do the work. So that's how you can fit it in around your life. And every
Yeah.
day can look different. Um, I think when it comes to like the top that VAs can make, different coaches are going to give you different answers. I tend to, I don't, how do I want to word this? I don't ever want to like talk bad about anyone else. I tend to be very realistic in my
Okay.
numbers, right? And I'm
Yeah.
never going to blow smoke. Like I hear from women I go live on TikTok all the time to talk about this with women, and I hear all the they're like, I just love that you're so transparent and like honest that like this takes work and this takes time, and you're not like, hey, you're gonna make $20,000 next month. Like, let's do
Yeah. I love that too. Yeah.
it. So
Thank you for being honest. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we need to be realistic, right?
Yeah.
Um, so typically as an actual VA, because there's a next level that's considered an OBM, which is an online business manager. But as a
Okay.
VA specifically, you're gonna top out at probably like 60 or 65 an hour. You will hear
Okay.
other people say that you can make 80 an hour or 100 an hour. But to make those rates, you're not truly still a virtual assistant. You're shifting into like a business manager role, which
Okay.
is as a VA, you're very like task oriented. As an OBM,
Okay.
more big picture, like project management oriented.
Okay.
So I say 60 to 65 is kind of where you top out, um, which is still incredible. Like
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
And then the way that you can scale your rate is twofold. Number one, just your experience. The more experience that you have and you gain and the time you get under your belt working with clients, you can increase that rate. And then number two is when you learn higher level skills. So doing those things and learning with clients. Once I learned Pinterest management, I could increase my rate because that's a higher level skill because it's going to turn around and give the client an immediate return on investment. And so they're going to pay more for it. Excuse me. Once I learned how to do more of the back end for like launches and how to actually build out funnels and automations for my clients, my rate jumped, right? Because again,
Mhm.
they're higher level skills than just answering email. Um, and those are the types of things I was saying earlier, right? If you start with the general admin, you'll kind of learn what things you really enjoy and can kind of grow on that. If you're like, man, I do really love Pinterest, you can
Yeah.
really hone in on that and have that become a specialty. If you really like bookkeeping, excuse me, that could be a specialty. So when you kind of find those little niches, those are those higher level skills that absolutely grant you the right to bring that rate up.
Okay. All right. And then what does a typical workday look like for you now? How many hours do you work and how do you balance it with mom life?
Yeah. So my work life and hours have looked very different over the years. I had a couple years right out the gate. Like I said, we were trying to buy a home. We were trying to, you know, actually build up somewhat of an emergency fund. So I was working 40 to 45 hours a week. And that was with her home with me because, again, I work a lot at night. She would spend time with grandma or with daddy when he got home from work. I always capitalized on nap times or even like while she had meals, right? I'd sit at the table with her and talk to her, but also be answering an email. Like, again,
Yeah.
we're multitasking queens. Like, we can do
Yes.
that. Um, So that was when she was littler. Now she's in school. So she goes to school 5 days a week. And I obviously capitalize on that time when she's not in the house. But a thing that I really am conscious of as a mom too is I want her to see that mommy's working. Like
Mm,
to me, there's that balance, right? Of like, yes, I obviously want to be able to take advantage of the fact that I can choose when I do it and put my computer away and go spend 100% attention with her. But I also think it's really important that she understands that mommy is working and mommy does have a job and mommy is
yeah.
helping to keep this roof over our heads. And, that cute little skirt she wanted to buy at the store the other day, we could do that and just say, yes, sure, no problem, honey, because mommy is also working. So,
This is what makes that possible. Yeah.
yeah, right. Like
You
I want her to understand that.
yeah, you are her
So,
example.
right.
And that's
So
how the yeah,
I have my office. And again, it's always a balance. It's not, I always get kind of not uncomfortable, but I always want to make sure this comes across the right way. I don't just sit in my office and work while she's home all day, right? But I will
right.
tell her and I'll talk and say, look, mommy has something I have to do for my work. I have to answer these emails. Like I explain it to her what I'm doing. And I say, mommy needs 30 minutes. I
Yeah,
have to go do this. I set her up with kinetic sand or Play-Doh, or if she hasn't had her tablet time yet for the day, a show for her to watch
yeah,
or a game for her to play. And but then she knows like mommy is working. And especially with my coaching aspect as well, she'll say, oh, are you going to go help other mommies? And I'm like, yes, I am.
oh,
I'm going to go help other mommies. But I just think it's
cute.
a cool balance, right? For her to get to see. So I
I
obviously
agree.
capitalize, and a lot of moms do who do this from home on the times when, they're focused on doing something else or you just don't have them with you at the time. But I think it's totally okay to also work some when they are home. Like daddy goes to work
Yes.
every
Now
freaking
you're seeing
day,
mommy yeah, you see
you
mommy
know?
goes to work too, she might not leave
Yeah,
the house, but she's
yeah,
working. Yeah,
right. And she
yeah,
thinks it's so fun. Literally the other day when she was sick, right? She was sick. Of course, she felt miserable for the first few hours of the day, but then they get that like burst of energy where you're
yeah.
like, I thought
Where did
you
that
were
come from?
sick. But we were yeah, oh, it always happens. And I'm like, huh, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And she got that burst of energy. She had been laying in bed watching a show, and I was sitting there working on my computer in a chair in the room. And she got her little burst of energy. She grabbed this little cardboard thing she had saved, and she got a pen and she made her own computer. Like things like that, that I'm like, that's so cute. And like she's seeing it, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
positive impression on her. She made
Yes.
her computer and then she came and she sat in the other seat next to me and she typed on her computer
That is so cute,
to
that's
do her
adorable, I
work.
love that. Aw.
So yeah, I think it's a cool balance. But when you do VA work, this is an important thing too that I haven't mentioned is that because I know a lot of moms think they hear this and they're like, but I'm already so busy.
Yeah.
Like my days are so packed. How in the
Yeah,
world do I make this happen? Right. But
tell us.
you get to work. Yeah. And I feel you. I totally understand that. But you get to work in the nooks of your day. I always say you get to work in the nooks and the pockets of your day because the actual tasks that you're doing for these clients individually, they only take 5, 10, 15 minutes. And so you never, ever, ever have to have, this 3 hour work block that you're going to sit down and work uninterrupted. You don't have to have that to be successful as a VA. You can use your phone to answer emails while you're sitting in the school pickup line for 10
Yeah.
minutes, right?
Yeah.
Or
Mhm.
my daughter does
So good.
gymnastics. And so she knows every other week, this is an example of balance too. Every other week, I bring my computer to work while watching her at gymnastics. So one week I go and I'm just laser focused on watching her. The next week I go, I bring my computer, I'm answering emails or doing whatever while also watching her.
Yeah.
But we have so many, if you really stop and think about the times, like there actually are a lot of times that we kind of are just paused in our day as
Yeah.
moms while we're doing things with our kids.
Mhm.
Instead of scrolling Instagram, right? Like you could be making money in that 30 minutes
Oh,
instead of
absolutely. I love
watching.
that. Yeah, and to be honest and my daughters have been in gymnastics too, And yeah, like, how about all the times when there are other girls in the class and your
Yeah.
daughter's just sitting there doing nothing, like,
Uh-huh.
here you go.
Yep.
You
And
don't
then
have
you're
to be
sitting there just
watching her
staring
just
at
sitting
them.
there. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right. I just think there's such a balance in the way that we show up for our kids that like she still feels 100% supported. You know what I mean? I don't have to be
Mhm.
staring at her 24/7 for
No.
her to feel supported. Um, and so there's that cool balance, but that's an important thing too, is like you can work in the little pockets. Even if you have a bigger project for a client that like the whole project will take 2 hours, you don't have to do it all at once. You can do 10 minutes
Right.
here and 15 minutes there. If you have times where like, let's say your kids are in 4K and they're at school for 3 hours a day, cool. If you want to capitalize and knock a ton of stuff out in those 3 hours, go for it. But that's not like a requirement to be
Yeah.
successful at this. And that's why it's just so good for busy moms. That's why it's so good as a supplemental income for moms who do work out of the home or have full-time jobs, whether it's work from home or in an office. Because let's say you have 15 minutes left at the end of your lunch break before a meeting. Okay, go make more money in those 15 minutes working for
Right.
a client, you know? It's just so, so, so flexible. Um, and the balance looks different for everyone. My work days truly never look the same one to the next. A lot of people ask me, like, what does it look like? And I'm like, you're probably not going to like my answer because
Yeah,
my
it
answer is that
changes.
there's not an answer. Uh,
Yeah.
but to me, that's the perk, right? Like it can be different for every single individual. It can be different in every single season of life or when things just pop up. Like that flexibility is truly unmatched. And it's the biggest perk. So you get to set, if you want to have more of a routine and set times, you absolutely can if that works for you, but you don't have to. You can also just be flexible and go day by day.
I love that, and you answered my question, which was, is becoming a VA something you can do part-time while you're still working another job or raising little ones full-time? Which the answer is yes,
Yes,
right?
a
Yeah,
million percent, a
yeah,
million. And that's
yeah,
why it's really cool too, because a lot of women who do want to replace their 9 to 5, the thought of like, I have to quit my job to start something else is really scary.
yes,
And you don't have to
mhm,
do that in this scenario. You can build clients, build your income while still working your full-time job until you get to the point that you feel comfortable enough with your virtual assistant income to step away from a full-time. Like it's not an
mhm.
either or. You can really kind of get your feet wet and build up your income before stepping away from a full-time so that you feel super confident by the time that you do that.
Yeah, and you're the perfect example of that, that's what you did.
It is. Yep.
So so what are the first steps, someone would take if they wanna become a VA, but had no idea where to begin?
Yeah. So a couple of steps that are really important at the beginning are number one, really thinking about the types of businesses you want to work with. Like I referenced earlier, really deciding who your ideal clients are so that you can network efficiently, right? And actually kind of
Mhm.
know what you're looking for when you go to search on Instagram to find people to connect with, but also so that you're setting yourself up to find those longer term relationships to work with. And when I tell people to think about their ideal client, a lot of times they just kind of look like deer in headlights and they're like, okay, Laura, but like, what does that mean? Right? Like, how do I do
Yeah,
that? Think about your hobbies. Like, what are the things that you love doing? Right? Because another cool part of this is you don't have to stay in the same lane as you have been in for a career. Like, let's say you said you were a nurse before, right? You could be a
mhm,
nurse and love health and fitness, but maybe you're really passionate about helping kids learn how to read or really passionate about baby-led weaning from your experience as a mom, right? You could
mhm,
work with course creators and coaches who are teaching moms how to do baby-led weaning correctly or
yeah,
sleep training for babies, or maybe you're a nurse, but you're like, I just love the freaking stock market. Like, I think it's so fascinating. It doesn't matter, right? Like, there are coaches and businesses in every industry teaching everything out there these days. And so
yeah,
thinking about the things that you just enjoy that you have a passion for because your skills from being a nurse or being a teacher or being a stay-at-home mom, right? The skills are transferable to support any kind of business. in what they're teaching or coaching or selling. And so thinking about your hobbies, what are the things that you truly just enjoy, that you'll feel fired up to go support those business owners? And then also identifying your skills and seeing those services. We had chatted before hopping on here. I just created a new free resource for women that helps them identify. It's called the Career Switch Cheat Sheet. And it will help you identify from the current career that you either are in now or you have worked in the past, the skill sets of things that you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And then, so it's got those listed on one side, and then it shows you exactly what kinds of services those actually translate to as a virtual assistant. So we're helping you kind of connect the dots from, okay, these are things I do as a teacher on a daily basis, but those actual skills, how do they turn into services that I can be monetizing as a virtual assistant and offering to clients? Um, so that's a really fun resource because it can be hard to identify the skills that you have if you're not sure, if you don't have a good enough understanding of the VA industry, right? And
Yeah.
so this kind of helps to connect the dots, because you'll need to know what services you want to offer before you go out and start talking to clients as well, right? But
Right. I think that's so smart. I'm grabbing that resource, by the way.
it's fun. I was up till like 2 a.m. the other night. I'd been thinking about it for like
Oh,
a week and a half, and then I was like, I'm gonna start it. I'll just like get it going. And then 3 hours later, I was like,
was
oh my gosh, Laura, go to bed. But I just got so
you had the
excited.
momentum. You got to work with that
Yeah,
momentum.
I
Yeah.
know. I just know it'll be so helpful because it's really it's wild how many women I talk to. Like I said, I go live on TikTok all the time. And I have a very similar conversation over and over where women tell me I don't have experience.
I'm sure.
Say
Yeah.
that's BS. Like, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but that's simply not true, right? But let me
Yeah.
help
But they
you
believe it.
identify it. Right.
But you're
They believe
creating this
it.
evidence that they do with
Right.
this resource. Yeah.
Right. Because it's just kind of a situation of like, you don't know what you don't know. Right. And so if
Right.
you don't know what those services would be as a virtual assistant, it's hard, like I said, to connect the dots. But I have never had a conversation with a woman that at the end of it, I say, you're right. You don't have any experience. Sorry,
Yeah.
this won't work for you. Like, that's never happened. I've coached over 800 women in 2.5 years, and I've never once had to say, sorry, this isn't going to work for you, right? It's just a matter of knowing what to look for and how to identify those skills. And so that cheat sheet, is a really good starter place to say, oh, okay, like there's 7 or 8 items in each profession. So you'll get like a clear idea of some really good skills, that you can turn into services.
Okay, and how do they get that resource? I did you say it already? If not, say it again, and I'll include it in the show notes too.
Yes, I will share a link with you specific for y'all so that they can just click on that and they'll just drop in
Okay,
their name and email, and then the cheat sheet will come right to their inbox. It's a
perfect,
downloadable PDF.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so and you offer training and support for new VAs. So
Mhm.
can you tell us about that and how someone can work with you?
Yeah, so I have a full program. It's called the Superstar Assistant Academy. And it is basically like a step-by-step roadmap. I took all of my experience, and then tapped into that teaching side of my brain. And it walks you through the whole process. It is a self-paced program. It's designed for busy moms. I say that the lessons are like mom sized. It's all video based, but the lessons are 7 to 15 minutes in length. So you can listen to it on the drive to school, right? Just plug it in and listen
Perfect.
like a podcast. Uh,
Yes.
it comes with a course workbook to help you implement. You get access to our Facebook group where you can ask questions. So it is self-paced, but you're not just like on your own. Once you do
Mhm.
it, I also always tell women like you're never just a number in the academy. Like I will know your name. I will know who you are. You're never just a number who pops up and then I never hear from you again or talk to you again, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but the program walks you through every single step, every single decision you need to make, your ideal client, your services, your rates, helps you with templates to create your marketing materials like a resume, how to do discovery calls. There's a contract template that was created by an attorney that you can use when you sign clients. We walk you through how to onboard them, how to decide if you want to do an LLC or not, how to actually get paid. Like, how do you actually get the money into
Yeah.
your account from your clients, right? How to prep for taxes because it is usually a newer thing for women to be a 1099. Basically, any resource that I've thought of that I'm like, ooh, that would be helpful, is inside of the academy. And you get instant access, you get lifetime access, you get access to any updates as they go. So, I mean, I don't want to toot my
That's
own horn,
huge. You just answered all the questions that I had.
but
That's
I'm really
awesome.
proud of it.
Lifetime access, updates.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
And
lifetime
then
access.
go ahead.
I was going to say, we just now are starting to have some guest speakers come in. We've
Cool.
had a guest speaker in the past. This is a really cool thing too that I think is fairly different from I mean, there's a lot of VA coaches out there, right? There's a lot of us. One thing I think that separates the academy is number one, I still work as a VA. So I'm not just coaching. I
You're
actively
in it.
am a virtual assistant who is still in the world and in the space and doing the networking and all of the things that I'm teaching you. And number two, we also touch really heavily on mindset because even just in this conversation, right, we have identified multiple times that your confidence matters and your mindset matters
Absolutely.
and how you talk through things and set yourself up really matters. So when women
It's
get into the,
everything. It's
it's
everything.
everything. Yes,
Mhm.
100%. So when women get into the academy, they'll watch the course overview. And then the very first thing after that, I send them to watch a mindset video from a
Love
guest
that.
speaker that I brought in over a year ago. She's now done, we have one called Building Belief and Mastering Your Mindset. That's where I have women start because I want your mind in the right place before diving into logistics. Otherwise, they're going to feel really hard, right? But if our mind's
Yeah.
in the right place, it makes it a
The
lot easier.
doubt. The doubt creeps in.
Oh,
Yeah.
1,000,000%. Yep. And that's why I love the Facebook community too, because when the doubt starts to creep in or the imposter syndrome, right? You can come and just post and be like, I'm struggling right now. And you'll get tons of feedback from not only me, but there's 550 other women in there who are doing
Wow.
the same thing, right? And they're
Mm.
very supportive. It's a great community. So you'll get my perspective, you'll get their perspective, getting to see other women celebrating signing clients and getting discovery calls. It's that kind of proof of product, right? It's that social
Yeah.
proof of like, okay, they're doing it, like I can do this too. Um, we also have, so there's the building belief and mastering your mindset. And then we also had the same speaker come back and she talked about vision casting. So how to actually like cast a vision for your life and your business. And then also did a talk on imposter syndrome specifically, conquering limiting beliefs. So those are really cool. I think they're very integral in being successful at starting something new. And then we're also starting to have some guest speakers come in. So in the middle of May, I have a social media content expert coming in because I am a staunch advocate for the fact that you never have to market yourself on social media to become a VA if you do not want to. Ever. You don't have to. You need to network, right? Use social media platforms to have conversations. But I will
Okay.
never tell you, hey, you need a business Instagram. You need to be posting content. You'll never hear that come out of my mouth. But there are a lot of women who I coach who want to have a business Instagram, right? Because it is a
Mhm.
tool, it is a resource. And I want to support the women in the academy in all ways. So I have a guest speaker coming in to talk to them about content and optimizing their bio, all that good stuff. And then in June, we have an accountant coming in to speak about tax things because I can provide you the basics, but I'm not an
Mhm.
expert or an accountant, right? So we have an
Yeah.
accountant coming in to talk about um, what's the word? Business expenses, like what you can
Mhm.
file and claim
Okay.
on
Okay.
taxes, right? Business banking, benefits and pros of an LLC, or when you want to be an S corp, just way more technical things than I feel comfortable teaching because I'm not an accountant. But
Yeah.
I can recognize where my gap is, and I'm going to bring in an expert so that the women who are in the academy have all the answers and have the support that they need. So that's a fun thing that we have coming up too.
That's awesome. And then you do coaching calls too? Is it like private coaching or are you doing like group coaching?
Yeah, so for women who are in the academy, just the self-paced program, we do office hours twice a month.
Okay.
That's like a co-working body doubling situation on Zoom. But you can ask questions in the chat and get feedback that way. And then I had recently started a group coaching container called the Superstar Accelerator. So for women who are like, I love this, all of that sounds great, but like I know if I'm in a self-paced environment that life will happen and then 3 months will pass and I won't have actually made progress,
Yeah.
which there's no shame in that. I'm that person. I'm that person who's like, let me buy this program. I'm so excited.
Right.
2 months later, I'm like, oh, I haven't done any of it.
Yep, me
Um,
too.
it's so bad. I have so many courses just sitting there that I'm like,
Mm,
I gotta get to those.
I know.
So if you know that's your personality type and you know that you would want to be able to ask more questions, have more hands-on support, and also the accountability, um, I am a great cheerleader, but I played sports my whole life. So I'm also good at like the tough love coach where it's like, hey, you said you were gonna do this. Like, where is it? And I'll
Yeah.
hold you to what you say you're gonna do because it comes from a place of love, right? Like, obviously, I know what your intention is and your desire. And if you're making an investment in yourself and your family financially, I'm gonna help you get the most out of that, right? Like, we're not just
Yeah.
spending money to spend money and then not make money as a
Right.
VA. So
Yeah.
I just started with the group coaching. I have that available as well. And that includes weekly coaching calls where women can have a hot seat and come up and basically get like a little mini one-on-one. And then we
Okay.
also have a Telegram chat available throughout the week. So women ask questions there. It's just really great because like we've touched on too, just the mindset, the confidence, we can get so much done in a 10-minute conversation on a call. I literally have a woman who is in my group coaching right now who's been in the self-paced for like 6 months, decided to
Hmm.
join to have that added accountability. We got on a
Hmm.
coaching call and talked through. She had picked her ideal client, but she wasn't sure how to adapt her services. By the time we were off that call, she knew exactly what services she was going to offer that were specific to her ideal client, and then went and created her resume by the end of the day. Like she had felt stuck for months. In 10
Wow.
minutes, we talked it through and had made
Oh
a
my
decision.
God. She was
And
like,
then,
why did I do this 6 months
you know,
ago?
right. But it's like sometimes you just need that extra to be able to talk it through with someone,
Yeah.
right? It's different. So
Hmm.
we offer those varying levels of support. I do have one-on-one mentorship, but that's obviously a different price point, which is why I wanted to create group coaching because it's nice in the middle.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
but yeah,
accessible for a little bit more
yes,
people. Yeah.
right. And that's one of my main goals. For women who are interested in this and go out and search and look, um, it's very common that an average course on this in the industry as a self-paced course is like 1 to 2.5K, is pretty standard. And mine goes for 347. So,
Wow.
and that's an intentional choice. There's enough content in there. You have everything you need. I could easily say, hey, this is $2,000, but I don't want to because I want it to be as accessible to as many women to help as many women as possible. Like that's my mission. That's my goal is to help as many women as possible. Obviously, right? I wish I could give it away for free, but I do have to support my family too, you
Right.
know?
Yes,
But
absolutely.
yeah, so we price it pretty aggressively at like 3 to 5 times less than pretty much anyone else on the market, just because it's really important to me that it's accessible.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for all that you do, and you just gave us so much in this episode. Seriously, like, thank you so much from the bottom
Yeah.
of my heart. And lastly, before I let you go, for the mom listening who's craving more freedom but
Mhm.
feels stuck or afraid to pivot, what do you want to tell her?
That you just have to step. You just have to make the first move. It's
Mm,
gonna feel less scary once you do, but you just have to trust that your intuition that this is a good move for you and step.
oh, I love
It's
it.
simple. It's simple. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel simple when you're doing it, right?
No. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a matter of um, you know, even when it's scary. You're never gonna feel ready. I kind of liken it to like when we became moms, right? Like
Well, oh, yeah.
if if we had waited until we were like, I'm 100% ready to birth a human and become a mom and be responsible for human life, like we wouldn't have kids. Like it wouldn't
No,
happen. We wouldn't be moms. Uh,
no. Start
so
before you're ready. Before
yeah,
you feel
start
ready.
before you're ready and trust that you're going to figure it out and you're going to learn a hell of a lot as you do it. And then in 6 months, you're going to look back and be like, thank God I did that. Like, thank God I took that step because
Yeah.
things
Like,
will
look
look
at
very
where you
different.
are today.
Yeah.
Like, you could still be renting an apartment or, like, living in your mom's basement. Like, this
In our
is
tiny
and
townhouse.
it's beautiful, and then I love that you're turning around and you're helping other women do the same thing.
Hmm.
Find freedom and
Yeah,
flexibility and be able to earn an income while being at home with their family. It's amazing. I love it. And thank you so much,
beautiful.
Laura, again for your time.
Yeah.
Also, where can they find you? We're gonna include this in the show notes, but
Yeah.
you're on are you on Instagram?
Yep. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, and they all have the same handle. It's hey, hey dot Laura Nicole.
Hey, Laura Nicole. Okay,
Hmm.
awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening today. I cannot wait to hear feedback on today's episode and take that first step. Um, Head on over to the show notes and download that free resource that Laura stayed up till 2 a.m. making for you.
If there's any typos in there, don't judge me. That would be
No.
my tired brain. But
Oh my gosh, so funny. All right, well, I'm gonna download it for sure. I'm interested to see how my skills are transferable.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you so much, Laura, and thank you everybody today for listening. I will talk to you next week. Bye. All right, there we are. Let me hit stop. There we go.